There's a lot of people, too, that make games go very, very smoothly. I want to thank Brad Burns for keeping the clock all year long and actually brought a nice little mix into it this year when he would announce when people would make fouls or score a bucket or whatever. It made it more like a real middle school production, so I really appreciate Brad for doing that every game. I had a multitude of people that kept my book, which is something that's very important. It's hard for me to say this. It was Emily Carter, but she got married. It's now Emily Stocking, but it's somebody Marcy and I have known since she was in kindergarten, when Marcy had her as a kindergartner. But she kept my book most of the year. Matt Fletcher filled in some. Jeff Warren filled in some. So I want to thank those gentlemen and Emily for helping out keeping the book this year. Unfortunately, Susie couldn't be here tonight. She's a little under the weather. But, you know, Susie, always, as a male coach of females, I always want to have someone of the same sex, the female sex there with me at all times to protect myself as well as the girls. And Susie started helping me last year, and I said it last year, and I'll say it again this year. Susie's helped me, as you all know, and I can make fun of myself. I can be a little high-strung from time to time, and she's always, even keel, and she keeps me grounded, and she's helped me a ton to grow as a coach the last 2 years, and she has great knowledge of the game as well, and she has the points that it's kind of nice because we complement each other well, because she has things that she's real adamant about. Right, girls? Rebounding, is that one thing Coach Susie always talks about? I have the things that are my pet peeves, and but we work well together, so I definitely want to recognize Susie. Most important is my wife, Marcy. I've been coaching for the better part of my life, except when the girls were born. I coached before we were married. I coached before we had kids, and then I took a hiatus when the girls were young, and now I'm back in it full steam again. And a coach's wife is the most unsung person around, because they get to come home and enjoy the euphoria when you win, and they also get the blunt when you're frustrated over a loss. And she gives me wise counsel, keeps me grounded as Susie does, and so I definitely want to thank Marcy. I love you. Appreciate all you do to supporting me, because I'm gone a lot, and she's very understanding of all that. So now I want to hit a couple highlights of the season, then we want to recognize the girls. That's what we're here for. But if you remember, I stood up here last year, parents, and those of you that were here, and I said that we started a program back from scratch. We hadn't had a girls' middle school program in a number of years, and I said that our success wouldn't be judged on wins and losses, but improvement, and we definitely improved last year. We were 4-10, but we won 3 of our last 4 games, which was definitely improvement. So this year, we wanted to not let that be what our measuring stick was. We wanted victories to determine, and improvement in skill set, but we wanted to win more games. And we had a 7th grade and 8th grade season. Unfortunately, I only ended up with 1 8th grader due to an injury. But we had a 7th grade season, and they were 8-5, and our 8th grade was 3-9. So combined, the girls were 11-14. Now, obviously, we want to have a winning record, and we were very close. I said at one point in time we had 4 one-point losses in a row, which is great. And I said at one time, I joked, somebody said, we're getting close. And I said, the only thing that counts right now, or as close as horseshoes, hand grenades, and see if there's girls basketball, because we were close, we just couldn't quite get over the top. But of those 4 one-point losses, we also had 6 losses by a total of 10 points. So the girls were learning what it took to get close, and then we finally figured it out, because when you lose 4 one-point games midway through the season, your season go 1 of 2 ways. The girls can say the heck with it and just kind of mail it in, or they can buckle down and work a lot harder. And these girls and your parents, you all teach this, have instilled this in them. They buckled down, and we finished the season very, very strong. And the kind of like, for me, there was a couple of highlights of the season. One was our own Christmas tournament that we had, and we were midway through the second quarter. You only get 5 timeouts a game. We're midway through the second quarter, and I've already used 3 timeouts. So that tells you how the game was going. It wasn't going particularly well. We were down 14 with 3 minutes to go in the first half, and the girls woke up. It was one of the funnest games that we played probably in the last 2 years. We ended up winning the game by 7 points, and it was a great victory for the girls. As you see the trophy behind us, we did finish runner-up in the KCAC tournament this year, which was great. Of course, there's only 2 teams, so I guess you were going to be runner-up. But the girls battled hard. They played well. And one game which actually I'll give Coach Susie the credit, she thought was a real turning point for the season, was the Fulton City game here at home. And just give you a little backdrop. We played Fulton City as last year when these girls were 5th, 6th graders and 7th graders. We lost by 40 and by 30, I can't even read my handwriting, 33. Yeah, 33. We played them the first game of the year, early in the year, and we lost to them by 26. So this is a team, obviously, that was significantly better than us, or we were letting them think they were better than us. But we really we worked hard at practice leading up to that and had a good game plan, and we ended up only losing by 2 points in overtime when we played them here. And that was, a fun game. Even though we lose, there's no such thing as moral victories, but that was a fun game, even though we did come up back on the wrong side of victory. But anyway, it was a fun year. These girls, this is a good group. We've got 15 young ladies that are 6th, 7th, and 8th graders that are committed to playing basketball, and they're all very talented, and they all bring a different skill set to it, which I think makes it unique. And I'm excited to be a part of helping them learn the game, enjoy the game, and I'm really excited to see what these young ladies can do when they get into high school in a few more years. So let's go ahead and recognize the girls. That's what we're here for. So we had 4 6th graders. First one was Tori Conger. She came back to us after she was here last year, but then she moved away, but then she came back right before Thanksgiving, I think, isn't it right, Tori? I think it's right around when you came back. And so she got a little slow start because we kind of started in September, but she jumped in there right from the get-go and worked hard every day. And she has a good little skill set, and I look forward to seeing what Tori can do in the future. So let's recognize Tori. Yeah, we did something different this year. Instead of getting the trophies, we actually got them all medallions, and it has their name on the back, middle school, and the school year with a basketball in the front. So hopefully this will be something better than a trophy collection does for them. The next one is part of my what I call my enforcers on the inside. I've got 2, Caitlin Body and then Nicole Tyson, but I'm going to recognize Caitlin first. Caitlin and Noelle, they really get in there and they give it everything they got. They do not back down from anybody, and they're just 6th graders, and I hate to see what they're going to do to people when they get older, because they get in there and they scrap and they claw and they give it everything they got, and if they keep improving like they have the last 2 years, it's going to be really exciting to see what they can do in high school. So Caitlin Body. Already mentioned the other part, but Noelle, she got a new nickname this year. I said she has the prettiest smile on the middle school team. I've got someone that's close to that, and I'll mention that in a minute. But Noelle got a new nickname this year. She was a Smiling Bulldog, because if you watched her play, she was in there as Caitlin was. They were scrapping. They played like bulldogs in there, and to be 6th graders playing against a lot of times 8th graders. And remember last year they were 5th graders playing against 8th graders. They did not back down, which to me as a coach is what you long for. So. Noelle just continues to get better and better, so let's recognize our Smiling Bulldog, Noelle Tyson. See that smile? There it is. All right. Our final 6th grader is Gracie Howard, and Gracie was our 2nd leading scorer this year. Last year she was our 2nd leading scorer as a 5th grader, so the future's very bright for her as far as basketball. She has a very natural basketball IQ, and it shows on the courts. She never really gets rattled for again, being a 6th grader and playing against 7th and 8th graders all the time. She just gets in there and bangs all the time. And so I'm excited to see what the future holds for this young lady, Gracie Howard. We have a large 7th grade group. We have 9 young ladies in the 7th grade, and they all complement each other very, very well. They are a great group, and I look forward to seeing how they continue to develop as well. The first one I want to recognize is Lily Burnett, and Lily had never played basketball a day in her life as of last year when she came here. And the improvement she made from one year to the next is unbelievable. Those of you that have watched us play from last year to this year, she just does so many things naturally. And what I love about her as a coach is she's not done growing, number one, and number two, she already has a lot of length, which you love to have that on the basketball court. So, Lily Burnett. I'll never forget the first time I met this young lady. I said, "You need to play basketball." She said, "I don't play basketball." I said, "You need to think about it." I said, "You have something I can't coach, and that's height." And that young lady is Allie Colley. She continues to grow in it. You know, I always use her as an example and tell her she needs to use her arms. I'll put my arms up. I'm, 6 foot on a good day, depending on how high my hair sticks up. But, I'll put my hands up, and Allie, she puts her arms straight up, and her arms are straight up as mine. So, once we teach her how to use that, teach her a couple of good post moves, the sky's the limit for what she can do on the basketball court. So, Allie Colley. I was glad to get this young lady out here this year. She's the other part of the Howard duo, Rayma Howard. I watched her play volleyball this year, and she was all over that volleyball court. And I said, "You need to play basketball." And it took some convincing, but we finally got her out there, and she does a lot of things naturally as well. Someone never played basketball. I'm sure she played against her sister because she didn't come out there not knowing absolutely zero. She knew more than most that never played before, I should say. But Rayma, she's a lefty, which I love. She's got a nice little left-handed jump shot, and as she continues to learn more about the game, I look forward to see what the future holds for her as well. Rayma Howard. I don't think the next one here is Maddie. Did Maddie make it in? Okay, I do want to recognize Maddie Irvin. She's not here with us tonight, but she's played with me. Some of these girls, that's one thing I didn't mention earlier, the skill level between these girls varies. Some of them I said first year they've ever played, and some of these girls have played for a number of years. And Maddie's one that has played for a number of years, and her role keeps evolving. She's one that gets inside and bangs a lot too. And this year we had to move her out on the perimeter a little bit, handle a little more ball handling, and she adapted to that very, very well. So we appreciate everything Maddie did. The next one, I don't really have anything good to say about this young lady. No, I'm just kidding. It's my daughter, Jaden. So being a coach's daughter is a hard thing, and Jaden accepts it and rolls with it very, very well. She's I ought to call her, nickname her floor burn, because if you watch her play, she spends as much time on the floor as she does standing straight up. But I love how her game, as I said, Jaden's played since she was, preschool, Jaden? First year preschool, something like that. And even as soon as 3 years ago, Jaden really struggled just to get a jump shot to the rim. I mean, and her game has come such a long way in a short amount of time, and she works at it. I mean, she spends lots of hours at home, playing, and being the coach's daughter, you get to hear it all the way home. But one thing I've tried to always do is I let Susie kind of take care of coaching her, and I coach Lily a lot of the times, which makes it, because I'm going to be her dad the rest of her life. I'm going to be her coach for just a few years. I don't want to ruin that. But Jaden Jackson. Renee Shields is our next 7th grader to recognize, and I was a little bummed last year at the end of the year when Renee had moved schools. They moved, and I was bummed because Renee's one that I've had for a number of years on my Little League team, and her skill set has improved tremendously, but I was extremely ecstatic when I found out they were coming back this year. Renee continues, she's growing upward, she's getting a little taller, and she's always been fast as all get out. And if I had floor burn, Jaden's first floor burn, Renee'd be floor burn number 2, because she spends about as much time on the floor as well as what she does standing straight up. But she plays hard, and she continues to get better and better. Renee Shields. I mentioned there was a 1 and a 1A on the best smile of the team. This next one is 1A. It's Tiffany Sykes. She's new to us this year. I told her mom and dad the other day we were leaving school, and Tiffany and her dad were behind me in the car, and there was no conversation going on. I just looked back there, and she was just smiling, just from ear to ear, had the prettiest smile I've ever seen, just smiling, just looking around, just smiling. I wish I could be that happy all the time. I probably need to take some lessons from you, Tiff. But Tiffany has something, as I mentioned, Allie has, I can't teach, and that's height. And she's athletic, and I look forward her skill set from the beginning to the end of this year. If you looked at skill set improvement, she would be right at the top of the list. And I look forward to the more years she continues to play. I look forward to seeing what she can do on the basketball court. Tiffany Sykes. See the smile? Come on. There you go. Alyssa Warren is our next seventh grader. Excuse me, I was pushing up a grade there, Alyssa. I'm sorry. Now, Alyssa, she's like a lot of these girls. She continues to get better and better. She is one that's played for a little bit longer than some others, so her skill set's a little more developed. But she gives everything she's got on the court. If you watch her play, she's right there with the other girls as far as scrapping. I mean, I've watched her. She got picked up a couple of times. She refused to let go of that rebound, and the other team was a little stronger, and they picked her up and put her back down. But she didn't let go, and she gets in there and she bangs and she fights, and she gets better on the offensive end as well. So I know the future's bright for this young lady, Alyssa Warren. Well, thank you. I got an award too. That's awesome. Thank you, ladies, very much. And our final seventh grader is Grayson Wynn. Sorry, Grayson. G is what I like to call her. I've had Grayson for a number of years in basketball, and Grayson is very, very talented in basketball. Future's very bright for her. She was our leading three-point shooter. She was our leading scorer, leading rebounder. So it's a rare that you have a player that is your leading three-point shooter, but is also can go down and score on the block and lead you in rebounding. Towards the end of the year, we made some adjustments. She ended up being our point guard as well. Was our primary ball handler, and it helped us, exploit some other people's talents in other areas. So she's very versatile. She's a great basketball player, and I'm going to miss you. Grayson Wynn. I don't think we started out with two 8th graders, Ashley Kendall and Allie Walker. Ashley, unfortunately, tried to make a go of it, but she, as most of you probably know, she had off-season surgery and just needed some more rehab time. So she was unable to compete after about the first or second game of the year. Allie had never played before, but she came out there and worked hard all year long and improved dramatically. So really we only ended up with one 8th grader. And when I say these girls, we played 25 games. They really played a full 7th grade and 8th grade schedule. So they're to be commended. I'm excited next year when the 7th graders will be 8th graders and they actually get to play a whole season of just 8th graders for a change. So we can really see how much our skill set has improved. So ladies, to parents, thank you for your commitment, your time, all of my late night texts and practices and everything. I really do appreciate it more than you'll ever know. And ladies, keep working hard. We'll get back at it before long. Thank you.
First thing I'll say is I will not be as long-winded as Mr. Jackson. Boys are happy about that. First thing I want to do is, again, just reiterate what Trevor said about Miss Lewis. I think we don't realize as a school, parents that aren't here every day, what she does. Day in, day out, early mornings, late nights. From my wife being a teacher, I know what she does. So really just, again, want to appreciate her. Matt Fletcher, who stuck with me and kept our book all year. Want to thank him. I know he's not here tonight. And then I had two phenomenal coaches that really kind of kept us on track. One of those guys is here. The other is actually teaching over in the classroom right now. So Mr. Jim Lewis, who's over tutoring right now, and then Mr. Seema. Go ahead, you want to come on up? I'm going to give you a microphone. So before I continue, I'm just going to let Mr. Seema have the microphone. Whatever you want to say.
It was a real pleasure coaching your boys. I hadn't been in coaching for a while. I think the last time I'd done it, me and Trevor coached a girls team, which I loved, and but this coaching here sort of humbled me a little bit. I was excited to coach when I coached with Trevor. I think one of the last games I got thrown out, but to all your parents, it was a real joy. I love these guys, and I continue looking forward to doing it in the future. So, thank you.
So, and then the last is you parents. I want to thank you for your dedication. We had a lot of late night practices due to my work schedule, and I want to just say thank you for that, and for giving us your children to kind of mold. As the coaches and I talked about what our goal was for this year, you know, we looked at last year with these middle school students, where they were now, and we implemented some new policies and procedures that might have been a little tough on these guys. We took it not just from on the basketball court, but to the classroom, right? And we said we want to be the best example of Christ that we can be, not only on the court, but off the court. And so Mr. Lewis would meet with the teachers every week, and they were held to a higher standard than they probably ever have been before on the basketball floor. And I think it was tough on some of them in the beginning, right? Some more than others, but it was a little tough. But the reality is we saw such great progression in their lives, both off and on the court. And the comments coming back from the teachers was that, you know what, basketball gets their attention. When I played, basketball got my attention. And sometimes, as a parent of one of my players, myself, basketball can have an influence that even we as parents can't have sometimes. And we put that in front of them and said, you want to play? Here's the things you've got to do. And it took a little while to get there. Some of them paid the price a little bit, but we got there, and we saw great strides. And I think that didn't just help us improve on the court, but off the court as well. So again, I just want to thank you for the time that I've been able to spend with these young men, and we'll get right into recognizing these young men. So 6th grade, Miles Yates. So what I would say about Miles is, you know, Miles is a go-getter. He's a very hard hustler, and he asks a lot of questions, and that's actually how you learn. And the one thing about Miles is if he may have to ask 2 or 3 times, but by golly, he was going to do it. He was going to learn it, and I tell you, as the year went on, he continued to progress. And so, Miles, if you'd come forward. So the next 6th grader is Zach. And Zach is not here with us tonight, but Zach came out, worked extremely hard, continued to improve his skill set. You know, I think one thing that I wrote down was that his ability to work around the basket was not there when he started. But by the end of the year in practice, and then when we played in the tournament over at Fulton, he kind of showed all the improvement that he had worked on. That was Zach. So we'll get that to him. Next on the list, another 6th grader, is Nate Potter. You know, I think what I would say about Nate is his understanding of the game really increased as we went through the year. He continued to get better. He continued to ask questions, continued to learn, and he just continued to improve. I think, you know, these 6th graders playing up, we played a full 8th grade schedule except for one game. And that's hard on a 6th grader coming in. And so I really am looking forward to what these guys are going to do, this 6th grade group, next year and the years to come. So Nate Potter. last sixth grader of the group, a little bit of a show dog. Kind of likes to be known as the show dog. And that's going to be Alec Sema. I think the biggest thing that I saw throughout the year with Alec is coming in as a sixth grader, I think he thought he was good. And Alec is good, but he learned as a sixth grader playing at the eighth grade level was maybe a little bit harder than what he thought. But the biggest thing that I saw is Alec throughout the year really started to gain his confidence. And towards the end of the year, he was a huge asset, even as a sixth grader to this team, playing against eighth graders. It just took a little bit of time to get there. So, Alec Sema. Poor Alec.
Poor Alec. Poor mom.
All right, so see, I'm not the only one. Alec? Is that a little heavy for you? All right. So next on the long list that we have here is the first seventh grader, and you know this guy is kind of, you think, how does that effort come out of that body? He steps on the floor, and he's probably one of the hardest working kids we have. And so that's how he makes up for his size, is in his work ethic. And I'm going to tell you, it is bar none. If you want grit, determination, this is the kid you go to, and that's Hank Burns. So next seventh grader on the list is not here with us tonight, I don't think. Brady Fletcher. You know, Brady is another kid that has not only a great heart, but he has a no-quit attitude. There would be many times that we ran a lot. We ran a whole bunch this year. It wasn't Brady's favorite thing, but I'm going to tell you, he would get a side cramp and he wouldn't quit. And that just kind of goes to speak to the character that he has and what his parents has instilled in him is just grit, determination, and a no-quit attitude. So we'll recognize Brady at another time. Last but not least is a seventh grader that came in and we put a ton of responsibility on. He didn't realize it walking in, but we changed his position. One of the tallest kids in the group, one of the tallest kids on the team. Huge feet, huge hands. Can't wait to see how big he's really going to be when he's done growing. But we took that and we said, we're going to put you at point. And you're going to run the point position for us this year. And I think that was very uncomfortable. And for a seventh grader playing on an eighth grade team. But he rose to the challenge. He asked questions, he learned, he listened, he continued to develop. I think it's going to be a skill set that's really going to help his game, not only this year, but for many years to come. And so, Andrew Dunning. So there's half of our team. So we've got half of our team returning and half leaving. So now we go into the eighth grade group. And these kids could use a little bit of parenting additional at home. One of them is mine, so I feel free to say that. But I've also listened to the other parents, so I think I'm safe in saying, you guys are a tough group. However, let's talk about this group for a minute, and let's talk about the team for a minute before we recognize these guys. You know, we played Reedland at Reedland, and we took a pretty good beating, about 30 points. And so, you know, that was kind of telling. I definitely thought we had improved past that, and and that was a hard loss. It was a hard loss for these kids. But here's the deal. We went down to Fulton County, and we played in their tournament. First game, who they match us up against? Reedland. All right, so we're thinking it's going to be tough. But our attitude all year has been, we're not going to quit, we're not going to give up, and we're not going to look in the rearview mirror. What happened yesterday, we can't change, but we can change today. These kids came out and played their hearts out. And we played them right down to the wire. So we took a 30-point loss, and we turned it into a 4-point loss the next time. I think the game was theirs. We kind of gave it away right at the end. But that just kind of speaks to the effort and the energy and the dedication that these kids have put in this year. And we've seen that. You know, we went, I don't know what our record was last year under Coach T, but you know, we go 7-15, and there were several games that were right down to the wire. So we're improving, we're getting better, and Coach T's really excited to have this group come up, and a lot of them, they have already moved up to the JV level. So first guy out of the chute tonight is Carter Space. Carter is a kid that he has a lot of height, maybe the fastest kid on the team, but raw talent is how I would define what Carter has, and so we can't teach height, but we can teach basketball. And Carter came in, and it was obvious early that he had some work to do. But I'm going to tell you, he put in the work. Not only did he put in the work, he put in a lot of time and a lot of effort to becoming a better basketball player. And he started finishing around the rim. He started, you know, his defense was stellar out of the gate. But I'm telling you, I'm really looking forward to the next 4 years to see where Carter actually goes. So Carter Space. Next is a kid that you know, we went through a couple of trials this year. Lost a player mid-season. Extremely hard on these kids. Hard for them to understand. However, through adversity is really where you find your strength sometimes. And these kids kind of just stepped up, and they hit that adversity head on. But in the middle of that, we had a kid walk down the hallway, and Brian Griggs said, "Hey, I want to introduce you to a kid we know." And I said, "Great." So Bo Wilson walks into the office. I shake his hand, and my hand feels about like this big inside of this big old mitt. And I'm like, "All right, so is this kid coming to school? Can we start him tonight?" So Bo walks in, tall kid. I hear, man, he can throw the baseball. So I know Mr. Fletcher's really waiting to see you throw the baseball. But Bo came in, great addition right off the bat. Shot blocker, great defender, good around the rim. I hear his dad's really tall. We're hoping he gets there by next year. Same height, and then the year after, maybe another couple inches. But we're really looking forward to what Bo's going to bring, not only what he did bring, but what he's going to bring in the future. Bo Wilson. This next kid, unfortunately, is not very good. His name's Luke Griggs. No, I'm just kidding. So Bryce Carey, my poor son. You know, as a coach, I probably should have listened to Trevor a little bit more and let these other guys coach him. But I'm pretty hard nosed sometimes. I expect a lot, and so he took it on the court and off the court. But he accepted it, and he played through it. The biggest thing that I saw through him this year was a huge improvement on the defensive end of the floor. and so Bryce Carey. So this next guy, I probably should let him just have the mic. He's pointing his fingers. He's ready. Luke Grigg. There's a lot I could say about it. The biggest thing that I'm going to say about this kid is he has the innate ability to leap out of the gym. The only problem is he leaps at the wrong times. But through this year, with a lot of persistent coaching, maybe being a little hard on him, he's really began to step into that next level. We told these kids at the beginning that our job was to get them ready for the next level. And if they will listen, that's what we would do. We met with Coach T and we said, hey, what do you want us working on? He said, fundamentals. Make these kids fundamentally sound so that when I get them next year, they're ready. We spent a ton of time on fundamentals and getting things right. And part of that is knowing when to jump and when not to jump. Luke is a phenomenal athlete, and watching him play more under control as the season went on was just a really great thing. And so look forward to what he's going to do the rest of this year on the JV squad, and then in the future. So Luke Grigg. Last but not least, what a great kid this kid is. His mom, I don't know, but this kid is awesome. Isaac Hovkamp. What I would say about Isaac is he gives all of his effort, so much so that he tried to run through the wall and broke his wrist early in practice. And so we go without him for the first 5 games. He comes back, he's a little timid with the wrist, not knowing. I know what his potential is, it's just that we've got to get him to believe it. The one thing that I would say is he started to believe a little bit later than what I wanted, but when it mattered, he started believing. And his ball handling got better thanks to the broken wrist. He became a better ball handler with the left-hand side, and started driving to the goal again. And I think we have big things ahead of us as we watch this young man continue to grow, and that's Isaac Hovkamp. So again, I just want to close with saying I really appreciate the opportunity to coach these young men, to help them grow, not only on the basketball court but in the classroom. Really appreciate you parents and the dedication that you had getting them here. A lot of times it was late again, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, I think that concludes the program. We have refreshments out front, so stay and visit. Be sure to thank your coach. Thank you for coming.